My name is VanEvery. I am Seneca Nation Turtle Clan from Six Nations of the Grand River. I am the Indigenous Post-Secondary Knowledge and Research Lead at the Center for Innovation Campus Mental Health. I will be facilitating today's discussion on the importance of connections in a post-secondary setting. We want to acknowledge that we're hosting this conversation from Toronto, which is situated on the traditional territories of many nations, including Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We're grateful to be able to gather here today and have this conversation. Today's conversation builds on an ongoing partnership between the Center for Innovation Campus Mental Health, or also known as CICMH, and the Indigenous Institute Consortium, IIC. I'm really happy to be joined by Marsha Joseph, Executive Director of the Indigenous Institute Consortium, and Norma Sunday, Associate Director of Postsecondary and Continuing Education at Iohahi, Akwesasne Education and Training Institute. Thank you very much, and Yawa, for being here today. We talk about connection, especially in a post-secondary landscape. We're not all starting from the same place or have similar shared experiences. Specifically for Indigenous students, experiences with the education system have been shaped by a long history of exclusion, trauma, disconnection, and harm. So when we talk about coming together, it's about establishing that trust, belonging, cultural safety, and community. And that's where the IIC does really such great work.
So I'm Marsha Joseph. I'm the Executive Director of the Indigenous Institutes Consortium, also known as the IIC. I'm joining you today from the Williams Treaty Territory, and thank you for inviting us to join in this important discussion today. The IIC is a nonprofit organization that represents 7 Indigenous institutes across the province of Ontario. These institutes are located on reserve, off reserve, and in rural and northern and remote communities. Indigenous institutes provide post-secondary education, training, and lifelong learning opportunities that are grounded in Indigenous pedagogy. The demographic of students is primarily Indigenous. However, non-Indigenous people do attend and are welcome to come and study at our institutes. They offer such programs as nursing, personal support worker, skilled trades, early childhood education, language programs, and many more. These programs produce graduates that are labor market ready to fill the jobs that are in the highest demand, and our graduation rates are quite high. It's over 80%. The student is not treated like a number. They receive individual attention and receive supports to be reconnected to their culture, language, and sense of self. The IIC supports our members in governance practices, collaborative projects, securing funding and policy support for their growth, and fostering partnerships with external stakeholders, facilitating workshops, participating in events like we do today, and providing assistance that our members have identified as a priority for them. And joining me today is Norma Sunday, and I will now pass it over to Norma.
My name is Norma Sunday, and I'm pleased to join today's discussion. Thank you for the invite. Iohahi translates to the good path or the good road, and in the Mohawk language. We're situated on the Akwesasne Mohawk territory, and Akwesasne translates to where the partridge drums. Partridge drums their wings on logs, and when our people heard that, they knew right away that there was good food. So they settled here when they were looking for a village, a place to settle. We offer, oh my gosh, everything that Marsha mentioned, and then some PSW, SSW, bookkeeping, business classes, culinary, trades of all kinds, trades, welding, carpentry, electrical, plumbing, pre-trades programs, pathways to trades programs. We're going to be offering autism and behavioral science, early childhood education, addictions and mental health, leadership, and then we've offered many, many more in the past, full-time and part-time. Our learning community here at Iohahi It's deeply rooted in the Haudenosaunee culture, specifically a lot of language and a lot of cultural programs that we do offer our students and to our community. And we use the elements of Skana, Gasa, Stasala, Dano, Ganigulio in that, the good mind, peace, and strength. It's woven in. We have students right out of high school, graduation. We have people returning to start a new career path. We have mother, daughters, father, sons. It's neat to see sisters, brothers. It's quite diverse here. Small class sizes, a lot of teacher support. And we also offer student success officer and post-secondary coordinator, both who are Mohawk. So then our students realize that someone from their own culture is reaching out to help them, and knowing and making that connection that only somebody from your own culture could. It's very, very private that way, and very helpful to get that student to open up to us. We do work closely with the IIC, I'm glad to say, and not just because of my role with it, but IIC definitely has helped us to move forward and reach out and branch out, and so that all the ministries are knowing who we are more so now than ever. This professional organization helps us with our governance, as well as securing funding, making external partnerships, meeting these external stockholders, and bridging any gaps that we need, that I myself couldn't do on my own.
One thing we hear a lot from students is that transitions, whether that is starting school, moving between programs, or leaving campus, it can really feel isolating for some. And I think sometimes we underestimate how much these moments may impact the mental health and well-being of students. What do you think the transition periods look like for our Indigenous students?
Indigenous students may feel most disconnected in environments where they don't see themselves reflected in the curriculum and faculty and the campus culture. And they're really looking for a safe space, a culturally relevant and safe space in which to learn and interact with others so that they have a sense of belonging. What we find is that culturally rooted supports, such as access to ceremony, language, land-based learning, all contribute to helping students to feel connected and can navigate safely through these spaces. And that's really what sets Indigenous Institutes apart, in that they do provide the safe space for students to learn without fear of discrimination or cultural erasure. They provide a place for students to connect and build community. And another key aspect that the Indigenous Institutes provide is that connection to peers and staff and in particular elders. These relationships run very deep and very strong across all the Indigenous Institutes. And we find that this really contributes to the success and mental health and growth of learners.
When the student is disconnected from family and culture, that's huge. But they don't get disconnected here. We're on territory. We are, we're speaking Mohawk in the building. The students are seeing all sorts of other Mohawk people as well as non-Mohawk people here, because we do attract from the Mohawk communities in Quebec, because we're so close to it. And they have that language barrier of the French requirements, and we don't. So we get them here, but there's no disconnection with them either, because they know that they're surrounded by Mohawk people. It's nice to see. With our orientation, we try to make sure that all the students' questions are answered at orientation. Plus, the people who lead the orientation are here. They work here. Our student success officer, our post-secondary coordinator, our academic manager. I go in, just for them to meet me and to say that, hi, you probably won't see me much, but I work here and I'm making sure the lights stay on and the doors stay open. And just to provide you with the education that you want and provide those services that I feel that you need. And then also to ask them if there's anything more, please let us know. We'll do what we can. It's very, very important to make a student's transition as easy as possible, because it can be traumatic. And I know I used to be in the post-secondary program, and students would return home because of a terrible transition. The Institute was not helpful whatsoever for them. because they didn't recognize the culture. They didn't take into effect the differences and the huge roles that family and I guess the community plays in their lives.
When you think about the concept of coming together, what does that look like in your work? And what does meaningful connection look like on the ground?
They see me, a Mohawk woman, and then they see my other Mohawk staff, and they say, okay, they get it. They understand
how the Indigenous Institutes come together as a consortium. And by coming together and sharing best practices, exploring different ways of addressing similar challenges, really helps them to provide even better, stronger, more responsive programming for learners. And, we have a very open dialogue, a trusted space for everyone to share. And we find that collaborative approach really helps them to see that right from the top, right on down throughout the Indigenous Institutes pillar is a beautiful thing to witness. And it really just helps to speak to the desire, commitment, and really dedication to ensuring that all the students have equitable access to the resources and services that are needed to be successful.
This brings me to the discussion of CICMH's partnership with the IIC. For me personally, it just created the opportunity to explore and be open to new perspectives and knowledges. Folks at the IIC do such amazing work, and we learn from one another in sharing resources. In the past, we have worked together on a podcast recording, a webinar, and extended the work off of IIC's wellness resource to create CICMH's transition toolkit, which is really about helping post-secondary campuses think differently about how they support students during these key moments, but also preparing students on their academic journey in post-secondary. What do you hope people take away from that line of work?
Thank you to everyone at yourself and everyone at CICMH for the collaborative work we've done. It has been outstanding. The feedback's been great. And we are really, really pleased with the Pathways to Wellness, an online wellness resource for Indigenous students. And this was co-developed with our members and other partners as an interactive resource. And you can find this on the IIC's website. It's available for free for everyone to access and really think about the wellness journey of the Indigenous learners at your institutes. And our goal is to really support students as they transition into the next step of their education journey, so that they have a strong sense of self and community, and have a better understanding of their own personal well-being and can chart their wellness journey. We find that the one-time touch base, say at orientation, is just simply not enough. And there really needs to be regular engagement with the student, and ensuring that they have access to the resources that they are telling you that they need. And we know in our case, they enjoy the teachings and learnings that they get from elders and from the staff and Indigenous staff and community.
We wanted our students to develop this and work on this, as a group, as a collective group. My student success officer brought several of them together with their laptops and just said, here's what's going on. You work on this the way you feel we should. It wasn't about, I would say, probably not about adding services, about shifting the approach to them and making sure that we listen. We really, really, really listen to the students. We build those relationships, and we make sure that they know that they are in a safe space. It's difficult, going to college and stuff like, learning all these new ideas and probably juggling your family, and because most of my learners are older, and then they're having to work with the younger people who aren't, who are fresh out of high school. But it's neat because when the students work on these processes together, we're trying to create this space where the students don't feel alone, they feel accepted, and they want to continue, and where they can take ownership of the school.
If someone is watching today and works in a campus setting and they want to do one thing to better support Indigenous students through their transitions, where would you tell them to start?
I mean, I think Norma said it best, and she said it a few times, and that is to listen. It is absolutely critical that all those working with Indigenous students really take the time to really listen, seek to understand, and really, the students want to be seen, understood, and feel connected. And the best way to do that is really to provide that safe space, to listen through that one-on-one conversations, sharing circles, are all really, really helpful. So I would say listening and then really providing that safe space.
Yeah, there's my answers as well. Also, I would add, if you could build some, I mean, if I was in Toronto at one of the schools there, one of the institutes, I would definitely Google right away the community where the student is coming from. So it would help me get a better understanding of the student. Like, it could be a very, very small community. Unlike Akwesasne, we're about 12,000, people. So we're a larger community, and we're in Quebec and Ontario and New York. So very, very different than most communities. And we're actually very exposed in New York. So I would do that to try to make a connection with that student, but don't assume that you know their culture just by Googling it. Listen. Never, even if you're curious, wait until that student provides some information to you. I would avoid silly questions like when I was at university in New York State. I would have people asking what I lived in. Did I have a horse? Things like that. You just lost them right there. So yeah, definitely, let's just stay current and away from the spaghetti Western, because people don't know. And I find that newspapers and the news are all about the negative, that happen in our communities, and not the positive. So I think that someone needs to go in with an open mind, open ears to listen, and an open heart to make that connection. That's what's needed for our people and our students.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
I was just looking for the button. I wanted to do yes, Norma.
So thank you so much, and Yawa, Marsha, and Norma, for sharing your time and perspectives. This has been such an important conversation today. We really encourage you to think about coming together, what that looks like in your own spaces, and how we all can play a role in making connection feel real and not just something we talk about. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.